Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dave Boddy once again of Bodyguards United presents the Autopsy with Dana Jacoviello. Yes, I did it right. So much pressure when I see these new names I cannot pronounce. Like, it's a lot of pressure. How you doing today, Dana?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me. And don't worry about my name. I've had it butchered several times.
I don't want to be part of that statistic, you know? I want to be part of the other statistic where I pronunciate it correctly the first time.
It's a hard Italian name, so don't worry about it. No worries.
You've been pretty good, though?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been busy and tired, but I'm happy and I'm good.
Oh, the rest is for the wicked. Yeah. Focus, I say driven. So yeah, I invited you onto the autopsy. Sorry, I was kicking my garbage there for a second. I
No
invited
worries.
you on the autopsy due to your work with Goalies Keep Out. We got into contact via Twitter, not directly, but I had a friend of yours on the autopsy last time, and that's how we basically started communicating with one another and sharing our avenues and our journey. And we realized, oh, we're on the same path. Why not collaborate and help each other out? And
Absolutely. I'm always for
that's why we're here
collaboration.
today. And with that being said, I had some questions I didn't ask you on Twitter or Facebook for the simple fact that you're coming on the show. So I wanted to reserve them for specialty, if you do say. I wanted to ask, how did Bullies Keep Out come to play? Like, what was your driving factor?
Well, I wish I could tell you it was some amazing story, but it really wasn't. People laugh when I tell them the story. They're like, only you in the city that never sleeps would come up with an idea like that out of nowhere at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, honestly, I've always been very driven and helping people living a life of service and giving and doing what I can. I kind of always felt was something that was inside of me to do. I have a huge heart for charity and causes and organizations and for philanthropy. And even though I've had several dreams, like that was just always something I felt no matter what career path I took or no matter what I did in life, I have to incorporate this into it. And of course, we all have a past, and we've all dealt with, I think in some form, bullying and relationships and family, and and then there's other names for it. If we've dealt with abusive situations, or there's just different names for everything, and even self-bullying. And I think that we've all come into play with that at some point in our lives. And there wasn't really one specific thing. It just came to me out of nowhere. I've seen so much of it on social media, and it's so prevalent. And I kept hearing the stories, and they were just heartbreaking, and saddening to me. And all different types of stories. It wasn't just based on schools, or it was the workplace, adults, relationships, and it was just so many things. And I was just laying there, and I was staring in the dark at the ceiling, and all of a sudden all these ideas just came running into my head. And I started talking to other people about it the next day, because then I couldn't sleep, because once my mind starts going, that's it, forget about it. So I didn't get up and write anything down. The next day, I touched base with some good friends, and I said, what do you think about this? And I had this entire layout in my head of what I wanted to do and the site and what I wanted to be. And I had everything already all planned out. And, that's kind of where it took off. I just started talking to people. They said they thought it was great. It was going to be difficult to start something like that, because you got to start making intense and strong connections and networking a lot, which I'm good at because I do social media and networking as well. And I know a lot of people, so I figured, I could reach out, and that's really kind of how it started. It wasn't, it's, it wasn't, like I said, it's not really anything exciting. I was just kind of laying there one day, and just all these thoughts came into my head. I mean, I will say that a lot of motivation for a lot of things in my life came from a lot of inspiration I got from my grandmothers, both of them actually, and one that passed away a couple of years ago recently that was just the light of my life. It was not long after she had passed away, so I don't really know, like, if I always feel everything is connected, but I just finally found something that I really wanted to delve into, and I took it and ran.
Well, it's each of us have our own backstories. Like, for example, why I started Bodyguards, and you have your own backstory. But as long as it's from the heart, is what I always say. Like, I don't need to know what exactly started for, like, oh, okay, I will support that. As long as you say, this is why I started, it's the genuine honesty and the utmost dedication to help others. It's like, all right, that's all I need to know. And Was it stressful for you at first, knowing that there's over, no lie, dozens upon hundreds of anti-bullying pages on social media? I don't know about you, but before I made Bodyguards United official, I did a lot of research on Facebook and Twitter, and the amount of anti-bullying pages out there is crazy competitive. Now, what I've learned with Bodyguards is you had to brand yourself. You had to make yourself different and unique from the others. For example, I got the logos, I got the website, I got the commercials for TV, I got my acting stuff. So what have you done to make Bullies Keep Out different? Because obviously you have success. You have 10,000 or 11,000 likes on the page.
Yeah, a lot, it's marketing, it's friends, people reaching out. I'm very big on being different, and I believe I did that with Bullies Keep Out. And yes, I did notice there is. And with Bullies Keep Out, the reason why I feel it's different is because I incorporate a lot of other things and causes and advocate for many things. It's not just limited to bullying, and I offer all that. Um, from I've talking to people in abusive situations, and I'm talking about addiction because I feel that there's different forms of bullying. They're just called different things: depression, anxiety. People come to me with several different things, and it's like self-bullying. It's not just getting bullied by others, and in family situations and social media situations, because I work in social media, and it's all ages. It's not just limited to youth. I do it honestly. It's probably a little bit more adult oriented. I get a lot of adults, believe it or not, and I have everything in one place on my site. It's like you don't have to go to different sections, like different sites. I don't have several different sites. I try to put a lot on the site. It's almost like overloaded. And I do so many different things. I do motivational speaking. I do podcasts. I do PSAs. I let them be different and unique and real and raw. I do interviews. I do stories. Writing. I blog for the site. I put facts on there. I interact with many people. I mentor them. I offer services on the contacts page. I also am a writer for online publications where I write motivational articles. I incorporate that into Bullies Keep Out. There's just so many different things that I do and that I have on the site that I kind of feel it stands out, but I also like to collaborate and work with other people because it's not a competition. And when you can partner up with people, like for instance, I had Ken Burmeister and Mike Buschetti, two incredibly amazing guys, hilarious too. They're comedian actors. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but very well known. And Mike Buschetti actually did the Artie Lang show. And they reached out to me because they have a web series on Blip TV called Tubby Man. And it's a hero of the, he's hero of the bullied. And they reached out to me to partner up, and we do a lot of collaboration together, and we plan to do some in the future. We actually applied to do an anti-bullying panel at New York City Comic-Con. And I try to do things like that as well. I try to collaborate with other organizations and looking into getting into public speaking and events and whatnot, which has been so far successful. I got a lot of things in the works that hopefully I can announce soon. But, we really clicked, and what I like about Mike and Ken is that they do a web series, and I didn't have that. So I could put that as part of Bullies Keep Out, and it was something different that I didn't do. So it just adds more depth to Bullies Keep Out. And I like to incorporate humor into everything that I do. I always like to. I feel that laughter is just a foundation of so much and hope, and it's just good to laugh, and it helps you with so many different things. Like they say, laughter is the best medicine. I really truly feel it is. So I always try to make people laugh and joke, even if it's at my own expense. I don't care if it makes the other person laugh. It works for me. I'm always laughing at myself anyway. So, but that's what they reached out to me, I was thrilled because I was like, oh, and they're comedians. This is perfect. And the web series is great, and it's just great. So, and I've been able to collaborate with different people, and it's just I've made some great friends and amazing connections, and and I love networking, and that just makes it even bigger. And like I said, it's not about who's better, and like I said, so much of competition. I know there's so much out there, but I just really want to help and do my part. And if I can help, if I just have the one person say that I changed their life, I'm okay with that. But this is something that I want to do with my life. So it's life's work, and Bullies Keep Out, I feel, is only going to grow there's so many plans and so many things that I have for it. And like I said, it's only been around for about a year, and it's doing very well, and I'm happy with it so far, that I've come so far, because in the beginning it was hard. You know, you have to network and make connections to get yourself out there, get followers, get people to like you, and it's hard to reach out to the celebrity supporters I have to get PSAs when you're so new. That was difficult in the beginning, and you know, I've made, again, great connections and even friends, and they're so amazing. They're so humble. I'm so grateful for the support that I have and the people that are involved, and I just keep getting more and more, and it's just, and it brings people, you know, to Bullies Keep Out. And like I said, for me, it's really just about really getting through to them and being personal, not how highly professional and fancy the PSAs are. Like, a lot of people say, do you have, sometimes they'll ask me if I have a script or if I film them all myself the same way, and I don't. I like people to do it themselves, because I want it to be different. I want all different backgrounds and people to say what they want and why they support Bullies Keep Out. And some of them tell their stories because they've been bullied themselves, you know, believe it or not, and they have, you know, like I said, we all have some type of past, you know, and it's just, you know, it's amazing, and I'm really happy with where it's going and what's going on with it, and I just only hope for it to get bigger, but not for me, for people to go have some place to go and have a community and have a support system and get a message and get inspired and get motivated to speak out and stand up and take action and hope and save lives. And that's really what it's about too, because so many, sadly and unfortunately, that have taken theirs, and it's happening, and you see it all the time. And you know, I have you know, that's just the main goal, is to just really get out there and attend events and speak and do what I can in every form, in every aspect.
Oh, most definitely. I can agree that when I started doing the autopsy about a year ago, I was always asked, why do you want to interview, air quote, your competition, or why would you want to help expose your competition's business practices and bring them publicity? And I always told them, I'm like, I don't see a competition with us saving lives.
Right.
I don't see you, like, for example, just off the record here, like you and I, let's say you say, Dave, I had 4 statistics today improve, which is my way of saying I had 4 individuals that helped. And I say, oh, I only had 1. Well, collectively, that's 5. So,
Right.
like, really, it's not a competition. It's more or less every 40 seconds in worldwide we're losing someone, and every 40 seconds we're trying to save someone's life. So realistically, if you came to me and said, Dave, I had 10 statistics today, I'd be like, nice, good for you. I've only had 2, but that's 12. Let's keep it going. And then I collaborate with a lot of different people. I collaborate with I'mBullyFree.org, United We Stand to Confront Bullying, like so many organizations. And the reason why I do it is not only does it allow me an avenue to speak at events I never thought I would, or to appear on TV shows or commercials I never thought I would before, because I do a lot of acting and modeling as well, and I'm trying to use that experience to help motivate myself towards roles. And I'm very, very picky when it comes to roles. Like I like to play roles that fit my personality and my past, and that was given to me from my agent because of my lifestyle, my depression, of suicide of 16 years, and all the stuff I've been through. That I'm more able to, you know, bring out that negative and that scary side to me. So it's like acting is just a way for me to release that. And truthfully, you know, when I was first communicating with you, I was like, oh, she has it going. Like, she knows what she's doing, and I see the success that she's having. And really, I've always liked collaborating with my air quote competition, because it can give me opportunities to teach myself stuff that I never knew before. Like, I just started Boddyguards 3 years ago, 2011, so I'm still learning a lot. Every day I'm learning new tricks to trade. I'm learning new ways to promote and to advertise Boddyguards. And however, the one way I always do it is I don't ask for money. I don't ask for, oh, give me this, give me that. I always say, if you know anyone who needs help, we are here to help. And I know a lot of people who are also here to help. Like, it's amazing how many businesses and organizations are out there trying to help. But it's also amazing how many compete with one another, and then, if anything, that just basically commits a slow death for the company, because honestly, at the end of the day, we help each other out. I'll say, you know what, this is an avenue that I can't respond to, however, I will further you, communicate you to both keep out. So that's
Right.
a explanation.
That's true, and that's why I feel like when you ask that question of what makes me different, Another thing to say is, you know, you shouldn't have to feel to be different because we all do different things. Like, if you look at other organizations, or everybody has something different to contribute. Some might be focused in one area while others are in another. Some might just have a very certain things that they do, and like you said, you can refer them to somebody else that can help them, because it's all about passing down the line and everybody doing their part. I don't want to say I'm better than somebody else, because I'm not, because everybody does something different. I mean, and I support other organizations that are aimed at that same thing. Like I said, I advocate for a lot. I mean, the LGBT is a big thing that I advocate for. I attend a lot of events. I love the No Hate campaign. I just did a photo shoot with them, and my friend and I, he's an advocate, he's a supporter of Bullies Keep Out, and he works a lot with them. We did the AIDS Walk New York. We walked with No Hate. I mean, I throw myself into everything that I can, and I believe that that's how you're different, and that's how you really can promote yourself more, and do that type of stuff, because I'm not about competition. I'm about working together, really. And even though we are different in how we conduct ourselves, or what we might do, and another organization might offer different services, and they focus on different things, like more schools, and one organization might do cyberbullying. I mean, everybody does something different, and so it's all just really, I think that the more support and the more communities that you have out there, the better, really, for people to go to. I mean, and some people do films, and I actually have plans to, hopefully, maybe in the future, do like a play maybe in New York City, since theater is a big thing here. I mean, I have big things like that maybe down the road planned that I would like to do, and even with Ken and Mike, we've talked about it, a short film or something like that. But there's just so many things to do and so many ways to get the message out, and we're working hard every day to get there. And I love the collaboration, honestly.
It allows so much exposure. It allows you the understanding that you can share interests in avenues and plans, and you can greatly then see, okay, you know what, Dana is exactly the exact same motivation that I'm at. So if we combine our motivation levels and combine our workload, we can make it easier for one another. So that way, all right, Dana, if you can't focus on that, I'll help you with that. I'll do some promoting for you, because at the end of the day, we still have to make time for ourselves. We have to make time for, like, I have 2 kids. I have a gym schedule. I have so much stuff going on that it's nice to have the ability to collaborate and say, hey, you know what, Dana, I can't do this tonight. Can you please post my status for me 4 times, or whatever?
Absolutely.
So it's a partnership. And in retrospect, at the end of it, it helps out so many people. Like, I get emails quite often about my youth coaching programs and my self-defense programs, but most of them are not from my promotions. They're from other people promoting for me on behalf, saying, hey, this is my friend Dave Body, go look at him for this. And it's like, whoa. Like, it feels amazing. Like, it's awesome to see someone else obtain the exposure from your assistance, but when it's returned to you, it's like, wow, we're building this huge circle of karma, of goodness, where it's like people are actually getting the help that they deserve, not because we're competing with one another and saying, don't go to Dana because she doesn't do what I do, come to me. And it confuses the people, and they're like, okay, is this genuine support, or is this just money gathering? And they realize yeah.
If you're about the cause, you're not about doing those type of things. And I'm about the cause, and it's not about money. It's not about business. It's about helping people. And like I said, I also do mentoring and coaching, and and like I said, it's for all different types of arenas. Like I said, in bullying, self-bullying, and like I said, addiction and abuse, and there's just in depression and anxiety, and there's just I've suicide awareness. I've posted stories for people, and I've spoken to people about that, and I've gotten people come to me by word of mouth and from my own advertising and whatnot, and it's nice. But that's what I like to put so much into Bullies Keep Out. And like I said, I don't want it to just be very limited, and that's why I talk about other topics. Like, if people see on Facebook, and when I do articles and I write about things, I write about different subjects and whatnot. I write about relationships, because it all ties into each other, and it's all about just something in that article will help them. And even though, like I said, people laugh because they're like, even though it's called Bullies Keep Out, I focus on a lot, and it's not just one area, and it's not just this, and it's not just that, and it's not just one age, it's everybody. And I work with other projects and initiatives, and I even contribute writing for them, and I support and help them in any way I can through Bullies Keep Out, and I'll post their stuff on my site, and I'll tell people I have no problem putting your stuff on my site and promoting you, and because I want to help other people as well. I'm about helping. I mean, that's just my thing. I'm about helping and making a difference. And, you know, like I said, I use my story now, not as a victim standpoint, but to help other people in a positive light, because we can get stuck in that where we're telling our story the wrong way. And that's another reason why I think sometimes, you know, for personal reasons for me and other people that I've spoken to, why they started things is because they have their own personal backstory, as you stated, and they use that. And you use it to get your ideas, and you use it to, I think the more personal experience that you have with things, and the more you can contribute and really reach people. I'm not saying if you didn't have that experience you can't. I'm just saying, like, you know, I like to have that. For me, I like to have that, and I use it. And I use it in a positive light rather than in a negative light where we can get stuck in our minds with our stories and be negative, or, you know, get depressed ourselves or fall into that hole where you feel like you're in quicksand and you can't get out. And no matter how traumatic anything I've been through has been, I always think to myself, there's always somebody that's worse. And I didn't used to think that way. And now it's like there's always somebody that's worse. Not that that's a good thing, but you have to always think that, like, what am I complaining about? And the person next to me tells you a story where your mouth's dropping. And, you know, when I was younger, I used to sometimes say to myself, I'm so young and I feel like I've been through so many things. And it was just horrendous. It was horrific for me. That it was just overwhelming. And as I got older, I realized, you know, you see that, like, oh, I'm not the only one in the universe that it feels like they have the weight on their shoulders. There's so many people that you connect with, and you hear other stories. And you know, I've always been humble, but it humbles you even more. And the stories that I get and the things that people say to me from Bullies Keep Out, it's just a beautiful thing, and I love it because it's just, they're appreciative and there's so much gratitude, and I have gratitude for them, and they're thanking me, and I'm telling them no thank you, because it's about them, and that's what I really concentrate on. And, you know, you have to take care of yourself too, but it's such an awesome feeling just to hear the positive things that people say to you, and the gratitude and the appreciation. It really just inspires you and motivates you more. So even though I'm trying to inspire, I'm actually getting the blessing and the gift of people probably inspiring me, and I feel blessed by knowing and meeting them. And I've met some incredible people through social media, and I even used to think that that was possible. You like, can't make real friends through social media or do all this stuff through social media. That is so wrong for anybody who thinks that way, and I know that there are people that do.
Oh, most definitely. The one issue I have with social media, though, and I've been talking to a lot of people about lately, is the amount of negative, depressing, and complaining statuses that people will post. Like, so when I see someone post a status that's very negative and very, what's the word, alarming, because it's like, okay, you just wrote that status, and they usually do it in like a vague manner. Like, they'll say, I hate my life today, it sucks, and you'll comment saying, what's wrong, let's talk, and they'll say, well, it's really personal, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, okay, that's a misleading statement. So I'll private message them. I'm like,
just
listen,
posted it on Twitter or on Facebook, but it's private.
yeah. So I always say to them, I'm like, if you want to affect change in your life on a positive level, you have to understand that social media is a huge impact on that as well. Because let's say you post that status, 2 hours later, you post, oh, I'm happy, I love life. Well, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll go through my newsfeed because I'm bored. Like, oh, I'm going to go look at what I posted. And then you see how sporadic you are with your messaging. And it's like, if you're offended by yourself, like, oh my God, that's so annoying, I got to stop doing that. It's like, use your Facebook as a means to inspire people. Like, share your positives. Because I guarantee you, and I did this as an exam one day, or as a test for people. I posted, when you start feeling negative on yourself because you stubbed your toe, or there's a hole in your jeans, or anything minor, just imagine that you are complaining in the middle of two people, and the person on your left is a child dying of terminal illness, and the person on your right is an individual of your age who's stuck in a wheelchair. I'm like, imagine you complaining out loud. Imagine how those people beside you are feeling. And when I did that, people were like, holy cow, I did that test where I complained, and they realized how selfish they seemed, and how ignorant, and how ignoring the world made them feel. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, so next time you complain, say, you know what, my fridge is full, I'm wearing clothes, I'm in a house while it's raining outside. Like, take what you have as a sign that you have what people are wishing they only had half of. I'm like, and once you realize that, that's when you realize, okay, I'm going to start helping out people. I'm going to start helping people have what I have. And that's what I'm trying to slowly do on social media. So whenever I see someone posting negative stats, I say, hey, here's a reminder of this. Look what happened in Japan. You know, look what's happening in South Sudan. Look what's happening in Nigeria, in Kuwait. Like, there's so many world events going on with natural causes, like natural disasters. But I'm like, people get so wound up in their own story, in their own life, that they realize that you can find external inspiration everywhere, but without internal motivation, it's useless. So you
Yeah.
gotta help people find that positivity and realize, you know what, I want to help myself heal, so I'm gonna help others too, because that's how I healed. I found with all my suicide and depression is when I started helping other people heal their situations, and they started sharing their stories with me. I was like, holy cow! Like, the energy you feel is just, it's overwhelming. Like, you start feeling happier, and the person in front of you is happier too, and you're like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah, well, you're healing each other, and I work in healing and recovery too because I've had my own, and it's always a process. I'm still in the process of a lot of things. You know, we're all human beings. We're gonna make mistakes, okay? We're all
Oh,
gonna post
definitely.
statuses. We're all gonna get angry. The thing is to not dwell in it and not stay in it, and I've been guilty of that as well over
Bye
the.
bye.
You know, you have to get out of that mentality. People think because you do motivational things as a career or a part of your career or you're positive that you have to be like that 24 hours a day. I said, look, I don't walk around like smiling and happy and laughing 24 hours a day. I mean, that might look a little weird. But, you know, I mean, sometimes I could be down and sometimes I might feel negative, but I try not to stay in that place anymore where in the past I used to. And that's what I try to tell people who come to me, and it's like I have no problem telling them about my personal, you know, beliefs in my past because I feel it's going to help them, and if it's going to help them, you know, that's good. That's my goal. But you know, you realize again, like you said, it helps you, and when you're healing and recovering, you have to use every outlet you can, no matter what it is, bullying or depression or anything. Everything comes down to a support system and family, friends, social media. I mean, I know people that, you know, there's a big thing now where there's lots of shows that are on television, the messages of hope, and people and like fandoms that are becoming like good friends, and they're building like these little communities, and it's all over. And it's like, this show saved my life, and people think it's funny and they laugh, but it's like, you know what? If that's what did it for them, and that's what's giving them their messages of hope of something or happiness, and they're getting something out of a performance from an actor or a show or a storyline, then that's what works for them, then that's good for them. And when there's a fandom and they're all coming together and they're all supporting each other, and I've had a lot of fandom bullying on social media, and I've had a lot of people come to me, and I've seen it a lot with them going after also actors and whatnot and writers, and it's crazy. And you wouldn't think that this happens, but it does. And once you put something out into the air, it, like, you know, into the social media world, it's out there. And whether it's, even if you delete it, if somebody screenshot it, that's it. You know,
Hmm.
it's still always out there, and you still said it. And you know, it's like I said. I mean, I feel whatever does it for somebody and whatever could help you, nobody should be judging or making fun of them and whatnot. And I do see a lot of negative posts, and I see a lot of negative tweets, and I sometimes will intervene, especially if it's a follower or and whatnot, and I'll say, like, you just gotta, you know, I'll private message them, or I'll just say a little thing, I'll tweet them real quick, and they're so happy just to have the attention. And sometimes I think that's all it is people just are lonely and they also need the attention. But there is a lot of bullying that goes on and craziness. But you know, you're going to get those negative things, and people are just not really thinking in the aspect of their mind is really right now focused. It's like it's like tunnel vision. And even though there's other things going around, some people are just not seeing it. Like we're saying, like we're complaining about ridiculous things, and there's all these things going on. But we do get stuck in that mentality occasionally where you realize you complain about something, or I wrote this thing on Facebook and now I kind of wish I didn't say it, or, but we're human beings. Again, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things like that. And all those popular life coaches that you see in anybody, I mean, that's they're very well known. I mean, I'm sure you know many names that you can think of off the top of your head, and but people think that they're not allowed to be ever negative, ever get angry, ever get upset, ever say something, you know, and people attack them for it because you're supposed to like I don't know, you're supposed to like just be like that 24/7, and that just doesn't exist. I mean, and everybody have, you know, we all have struggles and we all have problems, and you know, it's good to see that side because you know that you're human and it's not a fake persona that you're seeing from somebody that you look up to or that mentors you. You want to see that realness and you want to see that real side, and that's what I prefer anyway. I don't want to see somebody that's perfect 24 hours a day because I don't think there's any such thing.
Well, I most definitely agree. I more or less meant like the consistent ones.
Oh
Like
yeah.
are very consistent, like every 25 minutes, every 30 minutes. I've had a lot, and I've removed them just for the simple fact that they got too overwhelming. They got too consistent. They got too overbearing on me because when I go to Facebook, I usually am on there for business purposes. I'm usually, you know, looking out for use. And like you said, you usually find that your demographic is in adults. However, I find with bodyguards, it's all youth, and that's where we collaborate again. So if I have any adult situations that I feel are more comfortable for you, I'm going to send them to Bullies Keep Out because that's where you just emphasize that you're greatly seeing more success in. And mine's youth. So I've always found with the merchandise that I have and my logo that it's more enticing to use. And
Right.
the reason for that is the psychology of why kids love wearing logos. And when I did a lot of research on that, I'm like, people are like, I don't understand why you're selling merchandise. And I'm like, well, look at the sales for DC and Marvel Comics, for their T-shirts, for Batman symbol, for the Superman logo, for Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, Punisher. They're all selling like crazy. And some of my psychologist friends are saying that youth associate the logo to their own personality. For example, my favorite was the Hulk. I've always loved the Hulk, and the reason why I love the Hulk is I held so much sentimental attachment to the anger control because I had very bad rage and very bad anger, and I never was able to control it and calm it down. So I've always found myself more attached to the Hulk character. However, some kids are finding themselves more attached to Spider-Man because of Peter Parker being bullied and of him being called nerd and just constantly pushed down by Flash, who's one of the biggest bullies. So
Right.
like, when I enter, so that's why I started pushing bodyguards more towards youth because I'm like, you know what? I find I have more connection with kids because I love comics. I absolutely love comics.
I like comics myself. I collect a little bit of comics myself.
Comics, they're amazing. Like they allow you to escape reality, but still stay in it because the stories have such good meaning to them. Like the Hulk and Spider-Man and Batman, how his parents were murdered. Like it's just there's so many different elements to how comics can make individuals, you know, relate and calm down. And that's why I
That's where I talked about television shows and different aspects
correct
you get
exactly.
where you get your help from. A comic book can do it too. When you look at the stories of fairy tale characters and, like you said, comics and superheroes, they're very intense background, and it
Hmm.
contributes a lot to life. And you know, I love kids, and I work with kids and youth too. And like I said, it's for all ages. I just happen to, you know, the demographics, and it leans more towards adults. But like when I plan on doing work in schools and speaking to youth and whatnot. It's just that, like you said, you always have. Again, we have, you know, and Bullies Keep Out has a logo, and when I have a kids section. But like I said, like you know, everybody's different, and like you just notice where you just lean more towards, you know.
Correct. Like you have that mindset to make your organization bigger, but there's always that personal sentiment attachment that says, okay, you know what? I find I love helping all ages. However, I love helping adults more. I like helping youth more. You know, there's always those personal characteristics, and that's why once again I gotta say it's so important to collaborate and so important to build a huge community. Like, you know, Bodyguards United is now affiliated with Bullies Keep Out, which is now affiliated with this and this, and like when people see all these affiliates, they're like, holy cow, this is overwhelming. Like pretty soon bullies are gonna be so scared to do anything because there's someone everywhere. Like
That's
there's like,
cool.
exactly, and that's why I strongly respect Amnesty International, which is the world's most largest nonprofit organization with 3.5 million monthly donators. Like they're huge. They have such a huge presence, and the stories that they have with how they help people throughout the world, it inspires you, and myself with a nonprofit to do the exact same thing. So like realistically, collaboration is huge. Like Amnesty International collaborates with a lot of nonprofits like Doctors Without Borders and Plan and UNICEF. Like they partner with, but yet they're the largest, but they're still affiliated with a lot of people, and that's why when people say, "Oh, Dave, you gotta start focusing on just bodyguards. You gotta focus on just your elements and your strengths and your focus." I'm like, well, part of my strength and part of my focus is collaboration because it means I'm having more supporters.
Yeah,
And
I
the reason
believe you
why,
have to collaborate to grow. I just don't think if you just focus on yourself and your own thing that you're doing, no matter how great it might be, I think that if you don't reach out and do other things, that you're really going to kind of stay stuck and not grow and meet those goals that you want to meet and reach those people and become bigger and better. And you become bigger and better by growing with each other and collaborating and partnering. And I've had people say to me that, Dana, I'll come to New York City and I'll speak with you, or I'll attend an event, whether it was one of my supporters, or, a friend of mine that, contributes to Blaze Keep Out, and that's what I want. I don't want it to just be, I don't want it to just be one-sided.
oh, most definitely, I saw last. I was actually invited to the States quite often. However, I don't have a passport, so that's kind of self-sabotage right there. But I found like a lot of other speakers were like, "Hey, Dave," or "Mr. Body." I get called that quite a lot, actually. It's kind of nerve-wracking because I'm only 28, but I accept it. Like I've been
Look, I'm
invited quite.
35 and people call me ma'am, and I'm like, I don't really know if I'm at a ma'am status yet, but I mean, to each their own. I mean, people have asked me, they're like, doesn't that bother you? I'm like, no, very little bothers me. It takes, I mean, I don't let these little things get to me, because if we did, we would all be constantly at each other, and it would just defeat the purpose of everything that we're trying to do. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of my supporters are actually in Canada, and I love it, and I hear it's beautiful, and I plan on coming there in March, and I'm going to do some
I
Bliss,
heard.
some for vacation, a little bit to get away, because I would love to visit, and I want to go there, but I hope to do some Blaze Keep Out work there too. But yeah, a lot of them are, a lot of followers, a lot of supporters, and a lot of my celebrity supporters are over there working, or they live there, and it's just great. I've gotten a wonderful response. I love Canadians.
Canada has that very well-known image of that we're always caring, we're always outgoing, we're always this, we're always that. And yes, I hate to admit it's true, but that's because we're always well fed. We have maple syrup, we have bacon, we have all these natural foods and liquids that just keep us calm. And we also have a lot of recognition for our alcohol. That's true.
Yeah, and then you come to New York over here, where everybody's the opposite of calm.
The
We're
state
all
I've
running
never
around
seen.
like, oh my gosh, talking 1,000 miles an hour. Everybody's like, was that one long sentence? Because, I mean, I have a habit of I'm Italian and from New York, so that's like double dose. So,
Exactly, and I do love your accent. Like, I'm sorry, when you were talking, I chuckled a little bit because when you said better, I'm like, I love how Italians say the word better. It's always hilarious. It's like so minor, but it cracks me. It's like when us Canadians say A. Like, how you doing today, A? Like, it's just like that like
I,
stereotypical. It's a positive one. It's the one that makes you laugh. So I'm
yeah,
sorry. If on the interview you see me chuckle there, it's because you said better 3 times in the span of 23 seconds, and I'm like, I can't do it. It's too much. She said better too much. I had to laugh.
no,
So I do apologize for that.
I get that a lot, and people are like, I love the way you talk, or I love the way you say things, or I love your little slang. And I'm the same way. I love the A thing. I always goof around and say that with my Canadian friends. I always add A to the end of it.
Joke, but if you see how the word Canada is spelled, it's kind of stereotypical as well. There's a joke that goes behind the spelling of Canada. I don't know it as well, so I'm not even going to bother trying to say it. But just YouTube that joke. It's actually quite comical.
I will.
How every second letter is A. So like, there's a long joke to it. I don't know it. I just laugh when I think about it. However, I do have to say that being that you have a great interest in coming to Canada, and I have a great growing support system here in Canada naturally because it's my homeland. So I have a lot of connections. What I'll do is I will help use my connection with media, with Shaw TV and Global News and CBC and all that. I will help share Bullies Keep Out as well for you as a return favor for taking your time on your busy day to have this interview. So that I also promised that to Haley Grip, who you're friends with as well. I told her that I would get her up here on a Canadian tour because she's very excited. That she was extremely excited when I told her that she can come to Canada and that Bodyguards will help her get here. And that's another thing about collaborations. Like, you can now have organizations in Canada help you bring up your organization to help more exposure and more neighborly love, if you will. And I'll make the same promise. Sorry?
Absolutely, I'm always all for that. I mean, Haley, I've told Haley, you know, we're talking about collaboration of, because she's in New York a lot, of her coming here and us working together and doing stuff. So yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, correct. And just so you don't feel shortchanged, I will make you the same promise I made her. I will personally take you to a location. Actually, I should ask you this first. Do you like maple syrup? Like, are you a
Yes.
fan of maple? Okay, all right, cool. Because I don't want to make you an offer that you don't want. Like, I will take you to a tree, and we'll actually make maple syrup from the tree directly. Because we still do that here in Canada.
Oh
And when I
wow, that sounds like fun. I'm definitely in it. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm going to offer you the same in return. If you're ever in New York, let me know, or willing to want to come to New York. We can work together, and I will definitely spread the word and, you know, put all your information on my site and use my connections as well, because I think what you're doing is great. And you know, I've looked into, you know, your site. I mean, everything you're doing is amazing, and you know, and I love it. I think it's great.
It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of work that I love doing now. A friend of mine named Stu Hart. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. You should be. He was a huge professional wrestling icon, and he actually started in New York. But
Oh, I'm big. I'm big in wrestling. I mean, I've been watching
yeah,
wrestling and UFC
he's
since
Bret
I was
Hart's father.
a kid.
He's the Canadian-only Bret Hart father, and he always taught me when I was growing up that if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Right.
And I lived that life of working jobs that I hated, you know, doing security for 8 years and bodyguard work, which I love security and bodyguard work, but there was a lot of days where I despised it, you know, days where I got urinated on or where I got spat on or got tested for AIDS, but I always did it because I loved it. But then when I suffered my 15th concussion and I had to retire from security and professional wrestling, it gave me that, like, I don't know where to go feeling because I don't know what else I love to do except for security. And that's how bodyguards came to be, actually, was I found that passion again of helping people, and being an entrepreneur has made me so much more healthier, has made me so much more calm, and I found that when you do what you love, truthfully, you're happy, and I'm assuming you feel the same way. Again, maybe you've had those jobs that you didn't like, but now that you're like, oh my God, I'm doing what I love, I'm seeing it not only benefit me but benefit others. Like, what advice can you give the youth who are struggling with that image that they don't know who they want to be, but they want to be something, but they just don't know yet. But they don't know because society is always bashing and down their throats.
Well, in my personal experience, I love several fields, and I wear many hats. I'm a writer. I'm an
We
interviewer.
discussed
I,
this.
I work a full-time job. I'm actually getting my master's in psychology at almost 35. It's never too late. I love continuing education. I mentor. I coach. I mean, the list goes on, and I love doing all those things. I'm exhausted, and it's a lot of work, but it's all worth it for me. And that's what you really have to really you have to experiment and try different things. When I was younger, I wouldn't really want to call it job hopping. I just was working, like, I'd be someplace for a year and then go someplace else for a year, and I would see what I would like and what areas I enjoyed. And what, honestly, I was going to go into the entertainment field. It was acting, and that was my forte, okay? And even though, you know, I dabbled in it, and I still do in different aspects, and I know people in the business and whatnot. And me and my friend are actually going to be doing, you know, we are actually starting a little YouTube, you know, a little show that we're actually going to be doing, and we can't wait to get that started. And he's heavily into that and social networking and whatnot too. And I just have so many areas of interest that I just try to incorporate it into everything that I do. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to stay busy. You have to keep busy. You know, like I said, I went from one extreme to the other, and you know, my mind changed as I got older, and then things happen in your life, and you go down a different path, and then you decide to get back into it. And you know, so like I said, my family worked in the entertainment field behind the scenes, and that was just always like my goal, is to do some type of getting my message out, though still doing that type of work. And like I said, even though it's different aspects now and I'm doing so many different things, it's like all stuff that I like, and that's what the main focus is. It's funny, I saw something on Twitter the other day, and it said it's not just about career success and money, because you might have career success and money and have personal, um, you know, you're miserable personally, basically. Like,
Hmm.
your personal life is horrible, and you're not happy with it. And then outsiders see you have money and you have success and you're all over the place and you're on social media, or you do this and you do that, and I'm so happy for you and whatnot. And they're not really seeing behind the glass window. They're seeing from the outside a little bit of a blurred vision, and there's different type of successes in life. And my advice is to get success in every aspect, in all arenas. Don't just try to find it in one area, just like I'm just going to find it in work and the rest will follow. You have to be happy in everything you do, because if you're not happy you have to start within being happy. And if you're not happy with yourself, you can't be happy with anything else. You have to like and love yourself and see that you're beautiful and you're wonderful and that you could do anything. And if you fail, at least you tried. I don't really consider it failing when you've tried. I mean, it just means something bigger and better is on the way, or you're meant for something else. And you have to look for those signs and believe in yourself and just hope. It's all about hope, hope, hope. I'm very big on that. Keeping that alive and wherever you can find it. And, I thought like that at one time. It was like I was separating different sections of my life. And it should not be separated. It should be as a whole. Be happy as a whole and successful as a whole. And don't just look for, I want big houses and I want 12 cars and I want all this stuff. Like, don't focus on that. Focus on you and your happiness and those that are surrounding you, and roof over your head, food on the table, and just all those things that are important. And the rest comes, and it's a process. It's not something you're just going to jump into. I don't really truly believe that anybody finds overnight success. I mean, there might be some stories of that, and that's wonderful. But I think that everybody, works hard and has to go through good and bad to get where you need to get, because otherwise you don't learn. So you're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up for making them. We're all going to make them. They're normal. We're human. It's okay to feel certain emotions. It's just not okay to dwell on them and get stuck there. Always keep that candle lit. That's what I say. Even if you feel like you're in a little bit of darkness, as long as the candle's lit to where you can still find your way out, you're good. And it's not that even when it blows out you can't. It's just it's harder. And you got to use the people in your life and as much as you can, and reach out, because a lot of people, and I've done it myself, you reach out, you pull back, or you keep everything inside, and then you don't get to where you need to get and do what you want to do in life. And it's really all about, like you said, doing what makes you happy, and whether that's 10 things, then do 10 things. If it's one thing, then just do that one thing. We all need to live, and we all have bills and whatnot, but success can be measured and is defined differently by so many people. And for me, the definition of success is not just a very simple definition. I see that definition is complex for me, but in a good way. I see it meaning different things, not just, well, I'm successful in my job, so that means I'm successful. That's not success to me.
Oh, most definitely. I find that there's people who, well, from a personal perspective here, when I was doing security, I was always working. I missed my son's first birthday because of work. I was very rarely ever at home, but in my mind, I'm like, hey, I'm working hard. I'm putting food on the table. I'm successful. However, at the end of the day, when I clocked out, I was miserable. I was never home. I was always burnt out because I was doing shift work security. I was working 2-week days, 2-week graveyards, back and forth, different sporadic hours, and I realized that I don't want to live this way until I'm 65 in hopes of retiring. Like, I don't have to work for over 40 some years, and then when I turn 65, be so burnt out and so tired that I don't have a chance to live. So that's when I started researching myself and realizing, okay, you know what? I am not doing good health-wise. I'm stressed. I'm burnt out. My spleen is inflamed by 13 inches. I have permanent brain damage now. I started realizing that my health was taking a beating, even though my bills were being paid, and I was successful with my bank account. And that's when I realized success is truthfully how you feel on the inside, and everything exterior is just perception. And
Right.
that's what I found. Like internally is how you determine success. Like I mean, right now, I am having so much time with my family. I'm having so much time with my stepdaughter and my son, and I get all the free time to go to the gym. And I'm like, holy cow! Now I feel successful because deep inside of me, I'm happy with overall aspects of my life. And when I do youth coach and mentorship, I make sure that they realize that success is from the inside and then radiates out. And they're always confused. They're like, I don't understand how that means. I'm like, well, people have different perception on success, like you just stated. Like everyone has their different beliefs on success. However, at the end of the day, we all look at success as the same thing, as being happy and being ourselves. And when you set the tone of doing what you love to do and being unique, and right now being unique in the world basically is doing what you love, because everyone's going to judge you, everyone's going to have their statement towards what you're doing. And but when they see how happy you are, no matter what they say, they'll eventually say, you know what, I'm going to stop bullying this person, because it doesn't matter what I do to this person, they're happy. Like, and it just makes me realize how miserable I am with my life. And that's why I say I call it the David versus Goliath. It's how you take down that big giant of the bullying. Is you just stay true to you, and eventually who hate you or are your haters will become your supporter. And that's what I found when I started doing my bodyguard story. My bodyguards tonight is everyone who bullied me started messaging me saying that they were sorry. I'm like, okay, now you say you're sorry because now you see that your bullying doesn't really matter to me. I was too focused, I was too driven to allow the negativity, and that's why I teach kids. I'm like, you got to stay focused. With that focus, you'll stay happy. And when you have that, sorry, go on.
It's, it's, for me, it's about get them with kindness, get them with success and kindness
Exactly.
and happiness, and that is the goal. And I'm very big about being authentic, because in times in our lives, we all haven't been, and there's been times where I wasn't, and I would, you put on a persona that you think people want to see. So another piece of advice I have is to always be authentic. Always be honest and upfront, and always be yourself, because anything else is not fair to you, most important, and it's not fair to anybody else around you, because people are going to love you for you, and if they don't, then they don't deserve to have you in their life or be around you. So people are afraid, I think, to be authentic these days, and you shouldn't be, because that's what makes you special and unique, and that's how you were made, and that's how you were made for a reason.
Oh, exactly. There's so much social and societal pressure that's crazy. You have all these campaigns about how to look and how to feel and where to go and where not to go. As a child growing up, you're so confused. I don't know if you've seen it, but I always talk about in my autopsy interviews. There's a photo that went viral on Facebook that clearly clearly states what we're speaking of, and it shows a baby, and they're all black figures, like they're all painted in black, and it shows a baby with a huge heart, and then
Mm,
as the baby grows up, the heart got smaller, and then when it hits the adult, the heart just turned to a dollar sign. And
yeah.
when I saw that photo, I was like, that is extremely powerful, because money was created by man, but now it seems that money creates man, and realistically, that's where we're having all these issues from. Power hungry and driven to chase a dollar, and I'll step over you and you step over me, and back and forth. However, I noticed that we're actually approaching our time limit here, and being that I have ADD and you're Italian, our characteristics match, and we could just talk for hours.
Yeah, no,
With
I
that
could
being
keep going
said,
and not even be paying attention to the time. Forget about it. We'll be
exactly.
going into tomorrow.
This is how I find out in every interview I do. It's like, oh shoot, we're like 10 minutes over time. Okay, well that was fun. So, is there anything that you wish to plug or promote or announce coming up, like events, speaking, anything of that matter?
I have some great things in the works, and I want people to stay
Uh-oh.
tuned. I have a great interview with Michael Coleman from Once Upon a Time coming up that I'm going to be posting, and PSAs to follow, and also from Haley. And I also have some newest supporters I'm hoping I'm going to be announcing soon. And like I said, I'm pulling to get that New York City Comic Con bullying panel, and hopefully I'll be making an announcement of an event that I hope to be collaborating with some great organizations. But I'm always doing things. I'm always finding new things to do. I'm always attending events in the city. I was just at the Pride Parade on Sunday. I'm always doing things for Bullies Keep Out and posting and showing people what I do and what I'm supporting and the different causes and whatnot. And, just always look for things because I'm always doing something different. I'm always doing something new and exciting. And there's always going to be announcements. So just follow, check out the website. I always have contests going too, and I love for people to know that because if they join the Message of Love campaign, which is you can send a poem, you can do artwork, you could send me a video, just your message of love about anything. You can represent Bullies Keep Out, and basically I have celebrity supporters that are willing to talk to you on the phone. I have ones that are, autographs. Some are just autographs, some are autographs and phone calls, some are just phone calls. It's whatever you choose to do. There are certain ones that are participating in it. And on the site under contests and challenges, you can find the ones that are Terry Chen from Continuum, Carly Pope from the Tomorrow People, a friend of mine, Doreen Taylor, she's a music artist and a songwriter. She's amazing. Emmanuel Bauger from Lost Girl and many other things. I offer autographs from her, and she's a great supporter. She's been wonderful. They're all wonderful. They all have been wonderful. But those are just a few. Callie T. Rawson, she's Nanny Deb from Nanny 911. Anybody wants advice from kids or needs to talk to a nanny, she's more than willing to do that. She's offering her services in that way, of phone calls. So there's lots of things that my supporters are doing to help me if when people join the Message of Love campaign. So they can always email me, they can tweet me, they can find me on Facebook, private message me, and they can get the information on how to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for everything that you've been doing and everything that you have upcoming. And we'll definitely stay in touch because you're going to be coming to Canada shortly, and I'm going to do my best to get you here.
Yes, I'm looking forward to making maple syrup.
You got to have maple syrup, and we'll give you the Canadian-made bacon with some maple syrup just to give you an authentic Canadian breakfast. And you'll love it.
Okay, so now I'm even more looking forward to this trip now, and I want to thank you for the interview as well. I'm completely appreciative and so grateful for it. Thank you.
No problem. We'll definitely stay in touch and have a wonderful, I guess it's only Tuesday, so have a wonderful week.
You too.